This is in session, almost done with atomic attraction. We're on chapter 51, and this is going to be on dealing with conflict. And I say, and I want to reiterate, the 48 Laws of Power is so important. A book is probably it is the most impactful in my life, and probably in yours too. But living this 50 years on this planet, I've learned a lot, and become wiser. And so you can learn through my mistakes or my successes as well. But Law 9 is important in the 48 Laws of Power when we're talking about conflict, especially with women. But Law 9 is win through your actions, never through argument. Any momentary triumph you think you have made or gained, through argument is really an empiric victory. The resentment and ill will you stir up is stronger and lasts longer than any momentary change of opinion. It is much easier to get other people to agree with you through your actions without saying a word. Demonstrate, do not explicate, especially with women. Women are deft at argument. Women are deft at psychological warfare. And this is not bad. This is respect for them. But in respecting, your adversary, for lack of a better term, we love them, but at times you have to respect the person you're going up against. If you're going up against, let's just say, a soccer team, you don't hate them, but you might respect their ability to counterattack, and you can hate it during the game or whatever. But just like women, their ability to communicate better, to read, microaggressions better, to read your body language better than you, and and the ability to deflect and gaslight and and get you all sprung up, and you also put them on the same level, if you want to be their leader, if you want to be their protector, then you have to be, the one in charge. And when you don't argue with your boss, you don't argue with a judge, unless you're the lawyer or want to go to be contempt of court. And on a traffic stop, you shouldn't argue, and we see what happens to you don't argue with the policeman. At that point, he's in charge, right? The person in charge you don't argue with, right? You argue with somebody who's either below you or on your level, right? And women, the only way women can respect you is to believe that you're above them. I know a lot of women won't understand that because they've never dated that guy. They date guys either below them because they're insecure, or they can't get guys above them, or they date guys that are equal to them, and they don't respect them. And they'll come in and have snarky comments, and but women who actually have dated guys that are better than them, they understand this. They understand, wow, I have submitted to a guy who's way better than me, and it was awesome. They know. And the ones who see being snarky or being negative towards male content, it's women that haven't found these guys. Anyway, chapter 51, dealing with conflict. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Sun Tzu, exactly. And The Art of War is another good book in dealing with not only women, but more likely dealing with if you're in the corporate world, dealing with work issues. It's a great book. In any relationship, and also 33 Strategies of War. In any relationship, how can I handle difficult situations in the right way often enters the man's mind after he finds himself dealing with another emotional conflict. When women bring turmoil into your life, it is important to know how to handle the situation the right way. If you stumble your way through emotional conflicts the wrong way, you'll be seen as weak and unattractive, and you will be resentful and frustrated with the woman in your life as she becomes more difficult and harder to appease. All right, now we have I think it's case 37. It's Isabel and Steve. And Steve and Isabel. Isabel finds a text message on Steve's phone, and it's from his ex-girlfriend. And she throws the phone at him. She's like, "You're such an asshole. You got a message from your girlfriend." He's like, "Really?" He's like, "I don't see how that's possible." And she's like, yeah, well, it's possible, whatever. And he's like, man, we ain't got anything in this house to eat. You know, and he starts looking through the refrigerator, and she's like, why do you gotta be talking to your ex-girlfriend? And he's like, I wasn't. And he's like, hey, do you want to go get something to eat? Like maybe some pizza or something? And he keeps looking for, he says, there's nothing in here, you know? And he's like, I'm going out, you know, get something to eat. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to be a jerk. And he was giving it no air. He was paying it no attention, you know? And then he was like, saying how he had this, you know, torrid love affair all night or something when he didn't, you know? And that's the agree to amplify, which we'll learn here in a second. But basically, you know, he wasn't giving her, you know, emotional, outburst any attention. When a woman levels accusations at you, whether they are truthful or not, is to agree. And here it is. Let me change that over. And amplify. Hang on. It's stuck together. All right. Agree and amplify. She threatens to leave. Your response should be, hold on. Your response should be, great, no more headaches. She calls you a liar. You respond, I've been called worse. When she calls you an asshole, take it as, then you say, well, I'll take that as a compliment. You must show no sign of weakness. You know better than to engage a woman head on. You want to try to carouse that from, you don't involve a woman head on. You take it as a glancing blow, right? And you don't want to try to convince her that you're one of the good guys, exactly, because you'll be there all day. I'm a good guy because blah 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 blah, right? No. Instead, you must do the unexpected and pivot. Agree with everything she has to say and even exaggerate the claims. Exactly. Hang on one second. I dropped it. All right. Sorry, dropped it. All right. Exaggerate the claims. Making her question her own sanity. Agree and amplify here and neutralize her. Charged emotion in any charged emotion in any charged emotional situation. This ensures you remain attractive even when a woman attacks you. Yeah, and that's one of the most important times to remain attractive. What have I said? What do women hate the most? And what women hate the most is a man who doesn't have emotional control, all right? And a man that has emotional control, even amongst an attack, oh, that is a powerful guy. Because what she sees now is, number one, you know, whether she was testing you or not, I say that she wouldn't if she has high interest in you. But at times that'll happen, and she's like, wow, I can't affect this guy. You know, that's key one. And then she's going to go, well, let me see how he acts, you know, with around other guys or whatever. But if she knows she can't, you know, get you going, and women know that they're, you know, at times they're the best ones to be able to mess with you. You know, they know your, you know, as you get to know each other even more, they know your ins and outs, your insecurities. That's why, you know, in marriages, they know exactly. You know, I had a counselor at one point, and, you know, was having a problem with a girl, and she's like, she has nuclear bombs. She knows exactly where to go to hurt you, you know? And she'll throw small bombs if she needs a little reaction, and she'll throw nuclear bombs if she needs a heavy reaction, right? And girls that know you a long time will be able to do that. But what you got to do, and this was good for me, but it ended up ending the relationship anyway because it was too late, you know? Had I started earlier, it would have been better. But, you know, she would throw those nuclear bombs. It did help, and I would just glancing blow and, you know, agree and amplify, you know, and be like, not let it bother you. And when a girl sees that, you know, her, you know, best, you know, attempts are not bothering you in a conflict, that's powerful. You know, like I said, and I've said many times in many other prior chapters, is women hate a guy who cannot control his emotions, who gets all spun up over nothing. But a guy who can control his emotions, number one, is attractive, two, is safe, and three, is not a threat at all, and rare. Well, that's all I got for today, guys. We'll see you on the next one.